The FAA has decided to ease up on some of their regulations involving electronics. Let's take a look at the video.
Relax, Alec Baldwin. You may soon be able to keep playing words with friends on your flight. The government set to relax the ban on portable electronic devices during takeoff and landing. Here are the 4 things we know about the possible rule change. The New York Times reporting the FAA may soon allow the use of tablets and smartphones for data only. You can't talk. They can stay on in airplane mode from the moment the gate door closes on the tarmac until the plane arrives at its destination. The Times says, though, there are still concerns about the devices during landing. The Wall Street Journal reports old fears that the devices would create electronic fields that might interfere with flight electronics has been debunked. The Journal reporting the final decision by the FAA will come sometime in September. Fingers crossed. Words with friends.
No one is more excited about this news than the guy that just reported that story. Like, his eyes were massive. He's like, I get to use my iPad now. But anyway, Ryan, you travel a lot because you're a comedian. So are you excited about this news? Did you feel like the regulations were useless?
Yeah, if your cell phone could have crashed a plane, they would have confiscated them and given them back to you after the plane landed.
Right.
There's no way that your phone could have been a weapon this whole time.
Yeah.
Now, do you want people talking on their phone, having a loud conversation? No, because I don't want people most of the time talking, like, I don't want to hear what they have to say to me, let alone someone who they have a relationship with that they can talk more about. So, I don't know. Words with friends, though, I got to say this. When he said words with friends, how is no one upset that the words with friends people got rich off of stealing Scrabble? Like, I'm so mad about
Where's
this.
Milton Bradley?
They were in a commercial. Like, the guys were on a plane, like, there was an app commercial, like, millionaires from Words with Friends. It's like, they're just sitting there smiling, like, yeah, we stole Scrabble. And it's like, there's a Scrabble app.
Yeah.
Download the Scrabble app.
Wow, that's a very principled
Sorry.
view
Yeah,
on internet games.
You know,
Okay.
it's just, stealing someone's work.
Intellectual
Yeah.
And
property
then
laws.
profiting off it.
That's
is-
a fair
very
point.
different. That's very difficult intellectual property to
Yeah,
prove.
yeah.
But I think Words with Friends is pretty.
It's pretty obvious.
I think that one's pretty obvious.
But I think that everybody with half a brain knew that a plane wasn't gonna crash because your phone was on.
I'm going to be completely honest. I would never turn my electronics off. Like, I wouldn't turn my
Me
phone
neither.
off. I would just put it in airplane mode.
I didn't even know, when I first got an iPod or an iPhone,
Yeah.
I thought just by clicking the top of it, I didn't know you could turn it off. So I was flying for a year with my phone on without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, and then I was having a problem with my phone. They're like, well, you have to turn it off. And I was like, oh. And they're like, no, that's not how you turn it off. And I was like, how do you turn it off? I didn't even know how to turn my phone off.
Do you think that, like, since the beginning they've known that there was, like, no interference and they've just been, like, totally messing with us the whole time? Like, watch these stupid idiots.
That's the whole
You know what I
flight
mean?
thing. It's all the airport. It's all about you're a sheep. Be under control. Listen to everything we say.
That's true.
Take your shoes off. Go through this line. Go through the body scanner. I opt out. And then it's like, it's uncomfortable, but I opt out every time unless I'm late.
I do too. And yeah, unless I'm late. And that's only happened like maybe once.
Because they'll take their
but
sweet time getting somebody over.
Oh, yeah.
they'll
they
take
take
their time.
forever.
And also, like, of course it's like uncomfortable to like be the one person who like holds up the line and then you get taken aside and then somebody
And then
puts
they
on the
wonder,
gloves.
like, what it is that are you hiding something, sort of?
Yeah.
It's like this, oh, what are you, like a dissident? Again, here we are.
Well, there's no reason to be righteous about the phones having to be turned off, though. Like, some people can't live an hour without their phone. And I understand it's a symptom of a bigger issue, like, oh, we're just lying to your face. We're telling you something to make you behave in a certain way. That's the real issue. And then some people are like, oh, I need my phone. And people are like, oh, these crybabies can't be without their phone. It's not about that. It's about you just being blatantly lied to.
Right.
Even though we know that it's a lie. It's not even Big Brother anymore. It's like Big Brother, Big Mother, Big Father. It's like the big family.
The whole big
like
family.
tucking, now get in bed and tuck you in. We're all gonna sit here and watch you sleep
Yeah.
and do everything we say.
Nikki, what are your thoughts on flying in general? Like, I actually despise flying. I'll do it for work. Of course, I'll do it when I want to take a vacation and go somewhere nice. But I feel like, for me personally, it's so nerve-wracking. Like, going through the security lines, being told what you can and can't do on a plane. All of that stuff is super frustrating for me. What do you think?
I feel like, well, I've spent like the majority of my life like flying somewhere, and I actually was on a plane that almost crashed when we were flying in Europe once. It was awful. I knock on wood, but I felt like, okay, well, I got my one, like, what are the chances of that happening again, really? So maybe I'm okay. But yeah, so I'm not really a fan. I just think the whole process it's uncomfortable. It's, going through the security lines, like, especially now, like, I'm like pregnant, so I'm even more uncomfortable. And then the last time I flew, I didn't want to go through that big, the detector thing, and they were like, it's not going to hurt your baby. And I'm like, who are you? Did you go to school for this? Are you a scientist? Are you like, I lost my mind in the Jacksonville airport. Like, I mean, I literally had a complete breakdown because I was just like, who are you gonna tell me what's right for my baby? Like, yeah, it was.
Was it a man?
Yes.
Every man knows the one thing you don't do is tell a woman how to raise her kid or what's right for her kid. So that guy knew that
he was standing into a pile of shit, and I was waiting for him on the other side.
I'm surprised you're not on a no-fly list now.
Me too, actually.
But your baby is. They wait till your baby's born. Like, the baby's on the no-fly list.
Okay, so I actually want to ask you to elaborate a little more on that flight. Like, what happened when you were on the flight? Did a flight attendant tell everyone or all the passengers that the plane is possibly going to crash?
Yeah, so basically we lost air pressure, the cabin pressure, because a door wasn't shut completely. So when we took a sharp descent, and as soon as we did that, the door popped open enough for us to lose cabin pressure, and they moved everyone to the back. And all the oxygen masks came down, and it's not like you see in the movies where everybody's going crazy and they're running around and they're like screaming. It's dead silent. Like,
oh my God.
All you hear is, and like, you don't hear anything else. You don't hear anybody crying, screaming, talking, nothing. Like, one of my friends was singing some Catholic prayer song as loud as she could, and that was really annoying. And I was like, she was like, oh, and I was like, oh my God, will somebody shut her up? Like, that's all I could think about besides the fact that I could die. It was just like this moment. We ended up like kind of really like making an emergency landing and getting home safe. And I got off the plane and called my mom and dad and woke them up in the middle of the night. And then they lost my luggage for like 3 months. It was a disaster.
I love the idea that even on the brink of death, you can be annoyed by someone.
So annoying. Yeah.